Hello, and welcome to the Steve and Mark podcast, where Steve has done a quick troll, or a lengthy troll actually, around the world's media and picks out some things of interest that he will throw open for us to debate. So, over to Steve.
Hi, people. So, in this episode of our podcast, I'm going to talk a little bit about our friend, President Zelensky of Ukraine, or rather his family. His family are interesting people. So, over the weekend, his mother-in-law. First of all, it was reported that it was his auntie who bought a mansion in Egypt. I believe that the neighbours with Angelina Jolie, and it cost them $5 million. Now we know that Ukraine is at war, and we know that money must be hard to come by. I imagine if what Ukraine is saying to the rest of the world that they need more money, they need more money, they need this, they need that, they need the other, then one would imagine that Ukraine is suffering a little financially. But anyway, his auntie, it was reported, bought this $5 million mansion in Egypt, and I thought it interesting, so I decided to delve a little deeper to find out a little bit more about it, and that's when I discovered it wasn't his auntie; it was his mother-in-law, his wife's mother. Now, this report was in an Eastern European publication, and you would have thought that there might be a little bit of fib telling on one side, a little bit of propaganda on one side, and a little bit of fib telling on the other side, and you have to find out a little bit on this side and that side to find out more or less in the middle where the truth is. Discovered that it wasn't the first time that he's been accused of buying these properties, accusing him of using money that was being sent by the foreign countries, using the money to buy these properties. So I had a quick glance at France 24, France 24 hour.
Yeah.
And they had a little segment exactly about Zelensky. And I thought it really interesting. They were doing a fact check on what is true and what isn't. And so apparently these accusations of him using this money illicitly to buy these properties, it goes back a while. It's not the first time. So the first property that Zelensky or the Zelensky family bought, so they say, the original story goes, was a $25 million complex in the Crimean part, in a place called Livadia, in the Crimea, $25 million. This was in 2013. Now, we know this because of the property. We know because of his tax returns, which only declared the property in 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they described the property as a $290,000 apartment. It was only one apartment in this complex. Okay. Anyway, the leader in Crimea when that part of the Crimea became separate from Ukraine, they took control of the building for the. He said, the leader of Crimea, he took control of the building for the Crimean people. So the Ukrainians are all being ousted, and they're going to house Crimean people in there. So we know that, first of all, if you want to launder money, you spend a lot of money for something that isn't worth all that much, and you say, well, I bought this with it. We can see here that he only declared it in 2021 as an apartment, which means that for 8 years he didn't say anything about it to the Ukrainian version of the
Inland revenue. Yeah.
in inland revenue.
Yeah.
And in the end, this guy in the Crimea took it anyway. So the second property was in southern Italy, and it was reported that he paid $20 million for a villa. He bought this in 2015, and this was declared on his inland revenue in 2020, being valued at 3.15 million.
Okay.
Right. Interesting thing about the villa, he's still got the villa, is that he's renting out his villa to two oligarchs. And the interesting thing about the oligarchs is that they're from Russia.
Of course. Yeah.
So money talks, money walks.
Yeah. Well, as I say, yeah, money doesn't talk; it swears. But yes.
I've not finished yet. There's one more.
Okay.
You've got one more.
Well, oh.
Yeah.
How corrupt can you be?
He,
sorry. Yeah.
he even brings it to the UK, where apparently they spent £37.5 million on a place called Hartfield Mansion. And he said that he gave the mansion to his wife, and it was valued at 7 million. So
nice.
all of these things that were bought were bought before he became president. He only became president in 2019.
Right. That's interesting. Well, he was.
So he can't have used, and the conflict has only been since 22. So he can't have used the money being given to him from other countries for the conflict, because all this was done before. Okay. If he's a bit naughty, yes, he was, because he didn't declare it in his inland revenue.
Okay.
But and also the prices that said that, and this is why this is the big why. When you read something in the newspaper, you get one version of it. And the truth, it might be another, and you've got to find a way somewhere around the middle too.
Well, that used to be what investigative journalism was all about: finding everything out and then, writing from both sides and actually seeing what corresponded and what doesn't. That doesn't happen now. I don't know the ins and outs. I mean, I know the guy was involved in show business before he became a clown. Oh, sorry, he was a clown before he became a politician. Sorry, nearly got around the wrong way. But it's certainly interesting. Now, I really can't see. I don't think it was particularly funny from some of the clips I've seen of him.
Well, I'll tell you, if playing the piano with your penis gets you £37 million, bring me the Steinway.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you've been attached to the music business. You've missed a trick there. You really have, Steve. You could have put this act around.
I wouldn't have reached, but anyway.
No, I'm not you. You could have been sponsoring people to do it. You could have had a whole franchise of people playing pianos with various parts of their anatomy. Let's put it that way. It's murky. I don't know. I don't know how the tax system in all the things work in Eastern Europe. If there is actually a tax system, in Eastern Europe. I imagine something's paying for everything. But
Least of all in Ukraine, one of the most corrupt countries
yeah, well, that's
in the
established.
world.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he probably did the right thing getting his money out of Ukraine. I think any of us would have tried to have done that at the time.
Mm.
Yeah, the whole thing is laughable. I mean, we've already done one thing today about Ukraine. Ukraine is on all our lips, in our minds. We're now all looking at it in a way that we didn't do before. It's under a microscope, especially for us Europeans. I know
Mm-hmm.
Brazilians, they see things on the news here. Um, I think we're all a little bit now concerned what is happening in Ukraine. Um, you got to, I mean, yes, obviously we know that the media have gone one way with it. Um, and that is not suggesting that the other party, Russia, have not been good on it because, yeah, it's an evil thing which has happened. Not totally unexpected. What the way that yeah, I knew about there was going to be something in 2017, 2018 because I had a conversation with some Europeans about it. We knew, we're men on the street, we knew something was coming. How our politicians missed it, or supposedly missed it, is a bit confusing and a bit concerning for me. But hey, I don't mix in their circles. Yeah, I tend to, yeah, I like to deal with what's realities in front of me and what I feel myself. I know having your own feelings and own opinions is not really a dumb thing anymore. Yes. Um, in an age where we can have our own feelings and own opinions, which are, but, um, and broadcast them as well. Yeah, the whole thing troubles me. Anything to do with that region at the moment does not surprise me. Yeah, anything.
Yesterday,
Mm,
the US
mm,
tested their rocket launchers
yeah,
for rockets that carry nuclear warheads in California.
well,
They had to advise NATO. They had to advise Russia. They
well, yeah,
advised
yeah,
right. Uh, I think it's just like chest beating, a
yeah,
bit
of
like
course,
little rocket man from North
yeah,
Korea.
of course it is. It's
He'll
propaganda.
send his rockets up every now and then just to say hi, I'm there.
Yeah,
Hi, I'm here. But anyway, it's always good to throw that in the mix.
yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, the whole thing is propaganda at the moment from all sides.
Yeah.
It's almost 4D chess with all that as well. What do you believe? What do we believe? We got to go through what seems logical to us. Given this is geopolitics, you don't choose your friends with geopolitics. You've just got to
No.
look who's in a good position to help you. And it's a again. I mean, yeah, okay. The US have probably got some horrendous weapons, if not already on the ground or repaired in the design process. Russia probably have as well. Who knows
Oh
how?
yeah.
Who knows how advanced the Russian side is? We never have done since the Cold War, if not before. Um, I mean, now we begin to find out the Ukraine. Yes, we're sending them all the scrap metal and maybe some advanced weapons that are being tested in the field, as it were. Um, you know, things that probably I can't believe we're giving Ukraine all these weapons and not having some people that actually know how to fire them and use them properly on the ground. You can't just pick up a brand new launcher, I believe, unless they've got so simple now that you could give it to anyone to push a button and away you go. I imagine anything needs a degree of training. Um, I'm not a military person, as you know.
Ukraine this week, they lost a tank, an English
A
tank,
Challenger, yeah, yeah,
the Challenger, which is supposed to be an unbeatable tank. The Challenger has not lost a battle until left in Ukrainian hands.
well, yeah. I mean, it's all right having the weapon, as I said before. It's knowing how to use it properly. It's all
How to
about
use it,
tactics,
right?
and yeah, exactly. Um, you leave anything exposed.
And
Um,
they're trying to get hold of F-16s, man. If
well,
they can't handle a tank on the ground, imagine an F-16 in the air. It's going to be disastrous.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the ability to strike into Russia as well worries me. I mean, you could even have a rogue pilot who decides he's going to go on his own rodeo there, um, which wouldn't be impossible to believe with anything over there. Yeah, the whole thing is crazy. It's worrying. Yeah, and over this money and everything else, there's so much money being chucked around. Okay, Zelensky before he may have had means. Who knows? You don't just become. I find it very difficult to believe. I mean, even Donald Trump came from somewhere, and okay, they said he was a shock, yeah,
Mm.
president. I can't believe that somebody would go from being an actor, effectively, a second-rate comedic actor. I mean, who knows? I mean, we've had it in the UK where people actually managed to go from the entertainment industry into politics, but they always had an interest and an intelligence. Yeah. Yeah, I can think of one, Glenda Jackson. There have been others as well who've managed it. Ronald Reagan, he was an actor before he was a president.
Yeah, but the big difference is that
Yeah,
these people that
yeah,
we know,
yeah,
they have been earning hard currency.
yeah,
You know, if we had somebody like an Italian actor
yeah,
who, when Italy was still on the lira,
yeah,
it would be interesting to see if they had. It's famous in Italy. It
yeah.
would be interesting to see if they were as rich as what their counterpart is in the US. And
Well,
I can get bet your bottom dollar that they aren't.
well, no, somebody's. But yeah, but that's true of politics, isn't it? Especially modern politics, is somebody's always behind it somewhere, and that's what it is. I mean, even even another fellow or another podcaster, I wouldn't say fellow podcaster, Russell Brand. He was on a chat show saying, "You've got to get the money out of American politics."
Oh yeah.
Okay, we got it in British politics as well, but it's just like it's transparent. I hope, yeah,
When they're
because
spending $1 billion
yeah,
in US politics to elect somebody, you know that something somewhere is not right.
well, yeah, we know in Brazil politics there's a lot of money being spent. Yeah, it's a relatively well, it's not a poor, Brazil is not a poor country. We're talking about distribution of wealth rather than yeah, actual, yeah, actual wealth itself. But